The sun hadn't even fully risen yet, but the dealership was already alive with the usual weekday commotion. Salespeople rushed around, preparing their desks and updating brochures. Engines hummed as technicians moved cars into the service bays. Phones rang from every corner, as customers called to check on appointments and inventory. It was another typical Monday in the world of high-pressure auto sales. Jake Morrell strutted into the showroom like he owned the place. His expensive cologne filled the air a moment before he even appeared in view, announcing his presence almost theatrically. He tossed his keys onto the reception desk with a relaxed flick of his wrist, flashing a charming grin at the young receptionist, who pretended to find him impressive. Everyone expected his arrival to come with noise. After all, Jake made sure people noticed him. He had been working at Grand Oak Motors for nearly 11 years. A top performer for most of those years, he prided himself on his record: big sales, high commissions, luxury clients, and a $150,000 yearly income that he often bragged about loudly. In his mind, that made him the dealership's greatest asset. No one could touch him. No one could question him. And certainly, no one could replace him. Jake liked it that way. He walked through the rows of gleaming SUVs and shiny sedans, patting the hood of a brand new model like it was a pet dog. He loved this place not because he cared about helping customers, but because it was his stage. He controlled the conversations, the deals, and for years, the culture. If Jake didn't like you, you wouldn't last long here. Many new hires had quit within weeks because of his sarcasm, bullying, and constant disrespect. But he didn't see himself as the problem. Jake always believed he was the one holding the dealership together. Today was supposed to be routine: morning coffee, weekly sales meeting, bragging about his latest high-end sale, and reminding everyone he was the star. But something was different. People huddled together, whispering. The general manager's office, the big glass box overlooking the dealership, was dark and empty. Their old GM, Mr. Parker, had retired suddenly last month. He was the only person Jake pretended to respect, mostly because Parker looked the other way whenever Jake crossed a line. As long as Jake's sales numbers were high, the complaints seemed invisible. Rumor had it that corporate was sending in someone new, someone with a reputation for change. Jake hated the sound of that. New managers think they know everything, he grumbled as he grabbed his tablet and strutted into the meeting room. He expected the usual routine: sit at the front, crack jokes loudly, show off his sales results, and roll his eyes whenever someone else got praise. A few of the salespeople were already seated, talking quietly. Jake sat down, spreading his arms arrogantly across two chairs, legs stretched out as if the meeting was being held in his living room. "Whoever they bring in better not try to mess with what's already working," Jake said loudly enough for everyone to hear. A few co-workers exchanged uncomfortable glances but said nothing. No one wanted to get on Jake's bad side this early in the morning. As more employees filed in, a buzz of nervous anticipation filled the room. Clipboards flipped open, pens clicked, feet shuffled. On the big screen, a message appeared. "Welcome, new general manager." Jake smirked. "Let's see what corporate dragged in this time," he muttered under his breath. He imagined some stiff, older man in a suit, someone he could charm or manipulate. Someone who would praise his performance and let him continue doing whatever he pleased. Then the door opened. A confident woman walked in, her heels clicking sharply against the tile floor, commanding attention without saying a word. She wasn't anyone Jake expected. She was young, stylish, composed. She carried a sleek laptop bag and stood tall with a presence that demanded respect. Her eyes scanned the room, not nervously, but like she already owned it. She was black. And immediately, Jake's smirk twisted into a mocking grin. He leaned toward his buddy Mark, whispering just loud enough. "So that's the new boss. What is this, Diversity Week?" Mark stiffened, his eyes widening in warning. "Dude, chill." But Jake chuckled, reclining deeper into his seat, ready to entertain himself. The woman stepped to the front of the room. She placed her laptop onto the podium and smiled. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Ms. Vanessa Carter, and I'm excited to be joining Grand Oak Motors as your new general manager." Her tone was smooth, professional, and confident. Every word carried strength, not arrogance, but authority. She didn't rely on loudness to be heard. Jake rolled his eyes dramatically, making sure those around him noticed. Ms. Carter continued, speaking about her background, a successful track record of turning underperforming dealerships into the top sellers in their region. She mentioned modern strategies for customer service, improving workplace culture, and boosting team performance. She talked about future goals, expanding the dealership's market, introducing new training programs, and ensuring equal opportunity for everyone to succeed. Jake snorted under his breath. Yeah, all talk," he said, loud enough for the room to hear. A few people turned toward him uncomfortably, but he took their looks as encouragement. Attention was attention, after all. Ms. Carter paused mid-sentence. Her eyes narrowed very slightly, acknowledging his disruption. She didn't lash out. She didn't show irritation. She simply smiled, almost knowingly, and continued speaking as if he wasn't worth the reaction. That bothered Jake more than if she had yelled. He whispered again to Mark, "I give her a month before she quits." But deep down, that smile made him feel strangely uneasy. Like she saw through him. Like she already knew something he didn't. Ms. Carter finished outlining her vision and opened the floor for introductions. Everyone took turns sharing their roles and experiences. When it came to Jake, he leaned back lazily, arms crossed. "I'm Jake," he said with zero enthusiasm. "Been here longer than anyone. I know how things run around here. I pretty much handle all the top clients, so, if you need help, you know where to find me." He flashed a smirk, one he believed looked charming, though many saw it as arrogant. Ms. Carter nodded politely. "I appreciate your experience, Jake. I'm looking forward to seeing how you contribute moving forward." Her voice was calm, but Jake sensed something beneath it. Determination? Judgment? Control? Whatever it was, it didn't feel like praise to him. So, Jake said loudly enough for the entire room, "I hope you won't try changing too much too soon. We're doing just fine the way we are. No need to reinvent the wheel." The statement wasn't a comment. It was a challenge. Silence washed over the room. Ms. Carter studied him for a moment. Then, with a composed smile, she responded. "From what I've seen, there's plenty of room for improvement." That single sentence hit Jake harder than he expected. His jaw tightened. His ego bruised immediately. Who did she think she was? He tried to laugh it off, but the laugh came out dry and forced. And then something worse happened. His co-workers didn't side with him. They didn't snicker or nod or back him up like they normally did when he mocked authority. They simply watched. Quietly. Waiting. The power he was used to wielding so effortlessly suddenly didn't work. Ms. Carter smoothly transitioned back to the meeting agenda, ignoring him again. But ignoring Jake was the ultimate insult in his world. He sat there fuming silently, his confidence starting to crack. He didn't like the way this morning was going. For the first time in a long time, Jake felt like he wasn't the center of the dealership's universe. As Ms. Carter continued, laying out expectations and new standards for respect in the workplace, Jake tuned out her words, but he couldn't tune out the reality forming around him. A shift was happening. And he was not in control of it. One thing became clear in Jake's mind. This new boss was a threat. And he wasn't going to let her take away the kingdom he had built, even if it meant crossing every line in the book to stop her.